there's today's breakfast. This fresh, and I mean fresh, loaf of cinnamon raisin bread, sourdough cinnamon raisin bread. I don't usually bake it the morning of and, you know, slice it warm, but that's what we have today, and actually it's going to be so good fresh, I think. Usually we toast this bread the morning that we eat it, but Zara, get yourself a plate and you can just put butter on it, and I don't think we need to toast it. Perfect. Usually I make this bread the night before, and that was my plan this time. Little backstory here. I started this bread just before dinner time last night. It went for its last rise, and I checked it at 8 o'clock and was like, okay, it hasn't quite risen enough. It's not quite ready to bake yet. I'll come back and check in like a half hour. Totally forgot about it until 10:30, and I was headed to bed, and I was like, the bread, I never baked the bread. So I just stuck it into the fridge overnight, which really is just fine, but it does have to bake for 45 minutes, so I had to get up this morning, get it in the oven, and we're eating a little bit later than usual, but this fresh bread is a nice treat, and the kids love when I make this bread. Yes?
I'm gonna finish my chores like at 8:40.
You are?
Yeah, because I just have to brush my teeth and hair and do my dishes after I'm done eating.
Very good. Yes, the kids are always...
I'm not wearing my glasses.
I know, where are they? These kids are sometimes in a bit of a race to finish their chores, so I guess we're right on track, eh? That's great. Here's my breakfast. I have 2 slices buttered, and then I also got myself some yogurt. This is just plain Greek yogurt, and I added vanilla, cinnamon, and some stevia. Now I've got my coffee ready to sit down and start school with the kids. This Christmas season we've been doing this artwork every day, starting with Art for Kids Hub.
It's so awesome, huh?
Mommy kind of did a star.
Is that tricky? Drawing a star, Wesley, is pretty tricky. Let's see Elijah's. Ah! Very good, Elijah. Good work. The kids snacked on the usual this morning. Our morning snack is usually fruit and nuts and just healthy choices, kind of just getting us by until it's lunchtime. And so now I'm going to heat up some lunch, and I made this soup. I mean, it doesn't look delicious sitting there cold in this container, but I'm gonna heat it up. And it is chicken and rice and carrot soup. I had like a tiny bit of spinach left in the fridge too, so I dumped that spinach in there. So there's a couple pieces of that. And I made it with some homemade chicken stock. It was delicious. I wouldn't say all the kids loved it. Like, I don't know why, because it is like the tastiest soup I think I've ever made. But I'm gonna warm that up for lunch. I was thinking of making some bread this morning, and I didn't, because I know the kids just like to have like bread or crackers or something to go with soup. We do have these like 2.5 buns left over from, we had these with the soup last night. The soup is all warmed up. It's not my favorite to make a soup with rice and then reheat it. Like fresh, it's great, but it just continues to absorb all of the liquid. And the rice, when you reheat it, always is a little bit more like mush, but the flavors will still be excellent. Of course, we have those buns, and then I did find a sleeve of Ritz crackers because just something to have with the soup. And then I think we'll drink milk for lunch today too. You guys know what this means, don't you? I am warming up some coffee, and yes, it is time for a coffee nog. I call it a coffee nog. I mean, it's basically a eggnog latte, but I make it super duper simple. I do like to warm up my coffee just so that when I add cold eggnog, it's not like lukewarm, because if it's lukewarm, I will just gulp it down. And I like it to last a little bit longer. So I'll get my coffee nice and hot. I do about 2 parts coffee and 1 part eggnog, and it is like the most delicious holiday treat. I do always pour the eggnog into my cup first, just so that I can have a sip straight up before adding the coffee. If you guys have never made this, I'm telling you right now, try it. If you like eggnog. If you don't like eggnog, maybe you wouldn't like this, but if you enjoy eggnog, This is a delicious treat. I am going to make lasagna for dinner tonight. This recipe I use, it's called, I have it written down in my cookbook, it's called lasagna noodle casserole. It's just a little bit different than your typical lasagna. It's very similar, but you pre-cook the noodles and then you mix the noodles with cottage cheese and sour cream, and that's one of your layers. So what makes it a little bit quicker is that because you pre-cook the noodles, I just do that at the same time as I'm cooking up the sauce. It only has to bake in the oven for 30 minutes, so we can throw it together pretty quickly, and this is definitely a family favorite. I think since I don't even know what age I was when I started saying lasagna was my favorite meal, but it's been, like, I was under 10 for sure, and lasagna is still one of my favorites. I'll show you what I have written out here just in case I can't find this online anymore. I know this was an online recipe, but some of my favorites I have just written out so that I don't have to go online and find them anymore. I have them in my cookbook here, so there are the ingredients. I switch a couple things up, like instead of spaghetti sauce, I have, in behind my tripod here, I just use a mix of tomato sauce and diced tomatoes and just some extra like Italian seasoning and spices. Other than that, I follow the recipe pretty closely, but there it is if you want to screenshot that. I am cooking up my onions and garlic right now. Sorry, it's so loud. Just in some olive oil. And once that's cooked, I will add 2 pounds of ground beef. I am doing a double recipe. I have water here that I'm just waiting to boil so I can cook my pasta. But into this meat mixture now, I'm going to add my diced tomatoes and tomato sauce. I'm going to add a good bit of Italian seasoning just to replace that spaghetti sauce that would already have some spices in it. I think it would, wouldn't it? So a good bit of Italian seasoning. Whoa. The very last bit of my garlic powder. And some salt and pepper. I'll get this all mixed and then it can just simmer until I'm ready to layer all the ingredients in my pan. My water is boiling here, as you can see. You might be about to get all fogged up. Maybe not. Okay, I'm going to take all of my pasta and I'm just going to rip it apart to cook. So just into like throwing pasta everywhere. Kind of like into small pieces like that. And then I let it cook for a while. It doesn't need to be like soft, ready to eat even, just because it's going to be baked for another half hour still, and it can finish cooking at that point. Actually, I better turn my oven on here. 350 degrees. It was time to get my cute apron on with all this splattering sauce. Save my clothes. This is simmering very nicely. I'm realizing I should have started this meal just a tiny bit earlier because this lasagna pasta takes a good bit of time here to cook, but we're getting there. As soon as it's all cooked, I have a colander in the sink to drain it, and then I'll transfer my pasta into here, and I'm going to add cottage cheese and sour cream. I love this recipe because it makes a really nice and creamy lasagna. And now for the layering step. I have 2 pans, so I'm just gonna do one at a time here. I like to start, even if the recipe doesn't call for it, I start with a little sauce layer just to make sure that the noodles aren't gonna stick to the bottom of the pan. This layer will do the trick. Here is my pasta mixture. So I'm gonna do a layer of this. I probably should do actually 2 pans at once so I can really kind of measure out how much I should be doing for each layer. It will be 2 layers in each pan. So this is my pasta layer, sauce layer, mozzarella cheese layer. And then repeat. All right, guys, I am excited. Don't leave quite yet, Charity. Wait, come back. I am excited about this. It looks delicious. My dividing between the two pans wasn't quite even. That lasagna is a bit smaller, but we'll at least start this one tonight, and then we'll definitely have at least one pan, I would think, left over. Charity's just about to take these green beans and go drain them, so you can go ahead. I just wanted to show that as part of our dinner. Time to serve this cheesy goodness. I almost always serve our meals at the counter here, and that just works well. If anyone wants to come and get seconds, they can come over to the counter and get more. There's Wesley. Let's go put that to his spot. Here is Zara. Zara, do you want just a little bit to start? I didn't really come on here this afternoon to talk about afternoon snack because we didn't really have one. Well, Elijah had a protein shake because he did a workout this afternoon. I think a couple of the kids had an apple because I noticed that our fruit basket is looking a little bit more empty. But we are having a really early dinner tonight, so there isn't a really huge gap between lunch and supper. The kids each did have a little snack earlier this evening, like a granola bar or some little packaged snack. I got one more coffee, and now it's time for Andrew and I to have a snack. This is Andrew's usual choice of snack, and here's mine. These big old Costco size snacks. And I'm gonna close this video. Thanks for watching. Any recipes I used, I will link down below in the description box. And I'll see you next time. Good night.